What's up, City Mafia? This is the night we've been waiting for a long time. It is officially NFL fantasy football draft season, and there's no better way to prepare than practice, practice, practice. So that's what we're going to do tonight. My name is Chris Caldwell, Nickel City Mafia channel. Here's my co-host, Jeremy Ness. Jeremy, what's up tonight? You're muted, bud.
Thanks. Hey, what's going on? Nothing much, man. Excited to get our draft on. See how
I
things
know,
shake
man.
out.
Reps, reps, reps. That's what we're about to do.
Yeah.
We're going to prepare as much as possible. So tonight, what we're going to do is do a 16 round, half PPR, one QB mock draft. Jeremy and I are in it. I'm from the third spot. Jeremy's from the 10th spot. And there's a lot of people in between. A lot of them are friends of ours, friends of the channel. So we're going to do our very best to berate their picks, tell them how terrible they are at fantasy football. And we're, going to have some fun tonight. So, drinks up. Thank you guys for joining us. And, let's have some fun. So as I say that, let's get this draft started.
Where do you like to pick right now? If you got to choose wherever you wanted.
Where do I want to pick? So I want one of the first two picks to get one of those top end wide receivers. I guess I'll say first three picks. I put Cooper Kupp in the big three, or I kind of want, where you are, the end of the first round. So I want one of the elite wide receivers, or a chance to get like a good running back at value.
Yeah, I feel you. I actually hate where I am. It's probably my least favorite spot to draft from. I think just that first,
Whoa,
whoa, Travis Kelsey, number
we got things
two,
going on. So
shaking
Mike,
it up.
Bills Fan CA is Mike. He's the owner of our channel. Mike, thanks for participating. He's also behind the glass, running the show for us tonight. Yeah, really shaking it up. I hate that pick. Not a big Travis Kelsey fan this year, so I will gladly take Mr. Jamar Chase at pick
Yeah,
3.
you just said you
I,
wanted one of the top two picks. You still got it. So
yeah, I would have probably taken Cup if it were on me at 3.
yeah.
So yeah, this is interesting because Kelsey's. What do you think? He's the consensus like pick 6 to 9.
I've seen him go as early as like 3 or 4 sometimes. I like you could lock in that position, especially if you're going like maybe 0 RB or 1 RB or something, and it helps to just lock in that elite tight end that he's going to outscore loads of wide receivers and running backs, and you don't have to worry about that position. It's nice.
Dude,
I can't hate
how
on
is
it.
how is Cooper Cup still on the board right now? What's
So
going on?
if he falls to me, I'll grab him. I think it's a little bit of an injury bug. I've seen him fall a little bit to like 8 or 9 sometimes, and people are worried about the injury thing going on.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't know, man. I was gonna take him. I was gonna happily take him at 3.
yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty high on him this year.
The Eckler over McCaffrey pick is interesting because I don't know how you think Eckler is better than McCaffrey unless you're just worried about injury, which I hate to worry about injuries. So now,
Yeah,
sorry, I'm
yeah,
on the clock
Jake.
here.
Okay.
I don't know. This was tough for me, but I do love my wide receivers. So one of the reasons I'm saying I don't like drafting from this spot is because I feel like the picks, I guess it's like 9 or 10 through like 18 is all one big tier. Like you can't go wrong there. So that's why I don't like picking from that spot because you can pick it like, you know, through 1 through 7 and get really good value in the second round.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. Let me see. Every like 2 rounds, we'll pause it and kind of see where people are at here. So yeah, I'm with you, man. You were kind of like, it seems like 1 through 1.09 is kind of like the end of a big tier, right? I mean, you kind of had the first pick with CD where it's like, I guess, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that's where like I could have taken a few different guys there that I would have been more than happy to take. I will say when I'm picking in the back end, I really want to get my hands on a running back, and I'm really glad JD did not take the guy I wanted because I am punching the ticket in the second round every time Tony Pollard falls my way because he could go in the first round, and I would be happy taking the first round. But I think when you're in that back end, you really want to have at least one running back. Like I don't think zero RB is like really doable from the back end of the draft.
I'm with you. Yeah, I like your start. Double Dallas. I mean, did you realize that? Was that
I
something you
didn't
were
even
going
mean
after?
to stack. Yeah, I didn't even mean to get that stack going. But yeah, that's not bad. You know, they'll be high scoring if Dak isn't terrible.
Okay.
Mahomes going a little
Defi-
early.
yeah, he was auto picked.
Oh, gotcha.
All right, so Ticket Steve, a little bit disrespectful here. I mean, he could easily finish with like the top two running backs in the league. So
Yeah.
if Jonathan Taylor is happily a Colt, where does he go this year?
I mean, the rumors are saying Miami is the number one spot right now. But did you see about the deadline today? So the Colts owner
Yeah,
said
I
he has
saw.
until Tuesday.
No, I'm saying if he's happily signed and on the
Oh,
Colts,
okay.
where does he
Yeah.
go in drafts? I mean, he goes like 108, 109, right?
Oh, yeah. I think next to Bijan for sure. Yeah, you could
Yeah. So like, are
easily
are
be
we
either one.
assuming that? So going, a whole round later than that, are we assuming Jonathan Taylor doesn't play football? What I don't know. I think he's one of the most interesting players because if he plays week one and you get him in the second round, you're already ahead, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I've seen him fall to like the third round just because people aren't sure about him. So
Yeah.
you can definitely crush it. What we want to do is we want to hit on these home run like picks, right? That's what you want. That's how you
Hmm.
win. And he's right now he could be one of those home run picks.
Yeah. Speaking of home run picks, I'm gonna have to take one of your favorite players here. I just like the upside too
Yeah,
much.
my number one
Yeah.
favorite player. I knew you're gonna talk
Yeah.
about. Yeah, yeah. He's one of the guys that I would leave. Like honestly, I put him up there with CeeDee Lamb. I want to leave all my drafts with him in the second round at some point. Like if I'd gotten, I don't know, maybe if Bijan had dropped to me, I would have gone probably Garrett Wilson in the second, like right there at what 203.
Yeah. So after Tony picks here, I'm gonna pause the draft real quick.
Cool.
Oh, so he picked one in the second round. We'll
Ah,
disregard that for a
nice. There you
second.
go.
But
Third round there.
yeah,
Yeah.
let's just let's take a look real quick and see, you know, whose draft we like, whose we don't really like so far. Um, the interesting ones to me, I mean, I like Ticket Steve's start with McCaffrey and Taylor. The upside is just ridiculous there. I mean, if Taylor plays all 17 weeks, he's locked into two top five running backs.
Yeah.
Hard to hate it, right? Whose draft do you really like?
I mean, I like yours because I love going wide receivers. I gotta say, so Chase Wilson start is pretty legit. But then also, I like Mike's start there with Kelsey and Waddle. I like being the outlier. I think that's a great way to go. Is kind of do something a little different from everybody else. He doesn't have to worry about the tight end position for the rest of the draft. He can just pick up everybody else and draft at value. Um, so I actually don't really like that. I don't like mind that at all. I will say I'm not a fan of the two running back start. I know like McCaffrey and Taylor are amazing. And even going like Barkley and Derrick Henry over there is amazing. Just I feel like you're missing out on an elite wide receiver value that you can't get in
Yeah,
the third round.
we're gonna have to pay attention to JD, who started Barkley and Henry, Ticket Steve, who started McCaffrey and Taylor, how they catch up on the
Yeah.
wide receivers. But we're also going to have to pay attention, how me or Brandon in the 9 spot catch up because we drafted two receivers, right? So,
Yeah.
one more question before we get started again. Are you a little surprised that 3 QBs have gone by the first pick in the third round? A little heavy,
I mean,
right?
no, I mean they were like we had a little bit of auto draft going on there, but I do think that this is the year like after the last couple of years quarterbacks just blowing up that they've been going like towards the back of the second, beginning of third round. The top three are gone, so if you want them, you got to grab them, and it's another one where you're grabbing an elite position. Um, I think it's okay, right? And people like love quarterbacks. Like people love the ability to take a quarterback early, especially in home leagues. In home leagues, you're going to
Yeah.
see him go maybe even earlier than normal.
Yeah, I agree. So, all right, let's get it started again.
Yeah.
Jake, I see you with your homer pick of Josh Allen. I don't hate it. That's fine. Oh, I'm on the clock.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So let me see here. So I have Chase and Wilson, two receivers. What shall I do? Okay, so I'm between Josh Jacobs and Mark Andrews here. Jacobs is a bit of a risk.
10 seconds.
I know. Yeah, I'm gonna, you play to win. So I'm gonna go ahead and cross my fingers here that Jacobs ends his holdout and comes back. What was he last year? Running back two, running back three.
Yeah,
So
3.
I feel
Yeah.
like in the third round, I'm gonna go ahead and latch onto that value there.
Makes sense. I like it. And get you that one solid RB.
And dude, my pick was between Jacobs and Andrews, and I'm a Ravens fan. I have on the Vens shirt, but I'm down on Andrews this year, man. This is, Andrews used to be the guy on the Ravens, and now with OBJ, Zay Flowers, healthy Rashad Bateman, healthy J.K. Dobbins, what's going on? So
I think he's still the
I'm not-
guy. He still is the guy. Like I
yeah,
like him. Whoever ends up grabbing him here, I think it's a great grab. And I
might be
gotta say
you.
real quick, shout out to Ticket Steve with Lamar Jackson there. One of the reasons I hate picking from like the 9 to 12 spot is you're guaranteed to not get a shot at one of these top 4 quarterbacks. That's one of the reasons I don't like it, because it's nice to grab one of those guys. You get one of the best at the position.
Yeah,
So I think that's a good grab.
yeah, and in our ranking show that we did last week, we kind of talked about how we feel like the top tier, there's four of them and they're all off the board right now. So after Lamar, there's definitely a drop off in quarterback. So there you go. Andrews, you got a
I'm
little
just doing
value
a
there.
preach. Yeah, I think Andrews is huge value there, and now I don't got to worry about the tight end position for the rest of the draft.
I dig it. I dig it. Yeah. So we're
Yep.
doing, we'll just talk about the roster positions: one QB, two running backs, three wide receivers, two flex, and one tight end. And we're doing a half PPR. And then we have like 6 or 7 bench spots, something like that. But yeah, this is good so far. So, all right, JD, I see you with the 3 running backs. But I'm starting to worry about your strategy. You need to show me something on this next pick. I'm going to need to see a QB or a wide
Yeah.
receiver from you.
I was hoping Ramondre kept falling. If Andrews
That
had
was
gone, I would
crazy.
have probably
So
gone
312
Ramondre.
for Ramondre is great, right?
Yeah. People are worried about the Zeke thing. Zeke is done. It's fine. He might get some goal line carries, but you don't got to worry too much. Now I'm worried about who I'm taking next year. I don't really know.
Yeah, I was going to say when I picked Jacobs, I think Ramondre was a little bit in my brain, but yeah, that's crazy value. I think the last pick in the third round's outstanding for Ramondre.
Oh, I was gonna go Debo. Now
Wow.
I gotta switch things here. Well, I'm a fan of this guy. He's a little older, but I still think he puts up some good numbers. So I'll take
Keenan and
Keenan.
Allen announced. I
Yeah,
didn't even look. I didn't even
yeah,
look.
yeah. I mean, it's gonna be a great offense, right? He's gonna get a lot of points, and hopefully he stays healthy.
Yeah, so he's one of those players where it's just like when you pick him, you're almost like boring, right? But
It's not a
like
sexy pick. Yeah,
it's not a sexy pick, but you know what's not boring? Fantasy points. And you know who
yeah.
scores fantasy points? Keenan Allen.
I was between him or Amari Cooper, actually. I think Cooper could have a good year in Cleveland. People are back and forth on him, and some people think Deshaun Watson is just done. But if he comes out slinging, Amari Cooper looked really good last year.
Yeah. I agree. Isn't Cooper usually a third round pick? I feel like this is a little bit of a slip for him.
Yeah, I think a little bit. Yeah. But we've also had a lot of running backs go, which is something I think you can say, like in home leagues, a lot of times running backs go a little earlier than in other platforms.
Yeah. All right. What shall I do here? So I think that I typically wouldn't do this, but I have a stack available.
Uh,
So I'm gonna go ahead and scoop it up. I'm gonna take Joe Burrow to stack with Jamar Chase. I think it's a
Joey.
little early for QB, but I like some of the players I like are a little bit down the ranks here. So I'll go ahead and secure the stack and get my QB that I can start every week. I don't really need to draft another one now.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's the year of the early QB. I'm not gonna make fun of anybody for taking QB early this year because I think it's totally okay if you want to make sure you get one of those top. I think we were talking about it's like 7 or 8 top guys, and then it's a big drop off. Oh, there you
Whoa,
go.
that
Get
went
some
quick.
picks going. Yeah, I like Kittle there. I think that's pretty good. I think he's kind of he's up there with one of the last. I might have one more guy around him or ahead of him that I would have taken instead, but again, we got the pick from the number one. He's got Hurts and Kittle. He's got his tight end, his quarterback locked up. He's going zero RB. See how that pans out.
Yeah, so at this spot, I was between DJ Moore and J.K. Dobbins, but I'm gonna lean into the wide receiver heavy this draft and just kind of see how it turns out. See if I can find some running back value down the board.
And I think that's a good reason for taking. Make sure you get one running back in the first 2 rounds, at least
Mm-hmm.
one, because you can wait a while and get some value later in the draft. I think that helps.
Should I be worried that my one running back is holding out?
Nah, he'll play. He'll play.
Okay. Thanks for making me
I
feel
think
better.
he'll be fine. Yeah. He'll be fine.
Yeah, so after we get to the 512, I'll pause it so we can do a little roster review real quick.
Cool. So it looks like we only got 1-0 RB running.
Yeah, very running back
good
heavy.
mixes in there. Yeah. All right, I'm on the clock. Oh, nice. All right, I'm gonna grab a guy here that's. Oh no, he's going around this spot. I was hoping he'd come back to me, and I like to grab him. I feel like the third or fourth wide receiver, depending on how you're going. I just think he could either completely blow up or have like a okay floor. It depends on Jordan Love a little bit, but I think it's one of those guys I don't want to miss out on if he just goes crazy this year.
Yeah, I'm with you. So what's your thought on the Packers overall? I mean, I saw an article or a YouTube or something that people think like they might be tanking for a couple years. I mean, I think they're kind of legit. What do you think?
For the Packers, I think they could be legit. They like how many times have we seen a quarterback, backup quarterback for so long, then come out and do well? It's the Packers. Like
Twice on the
so,
Packers so
yeah,
far.
that's what I mean. It's the Packers. Yeah. So there's a good way for it to go. Yeah.
All right. So
like
after
following my
after
my wide receiver strategy.
yeah. Yeah, so after 5 rounds here, let's take a quick look. Point out a team or two for me that you really like so far.
I mean, I'm liking Mike's team from the 2 spot. I think he's doing really well there. He's locked up his quarterback, his tight end position. He's got 2 great wide receivers, and he's got a starting running back that could actually crush it for Seattle. Like he's looking pretty well balanced. I'm also, I'm a fan of the 0 RB, so the 1 and 2 spots right there. I think both teams are looking really good. I'm not a big fan of DeAndre Hopkins. It's the only slight I'll have is almost every wide receiver that went after him, I like better than DeAndre Hopkins this year.
Yeah, I was going to say Tony's team from the 1 spot's looking nice, but I think we're both down on Hopkins, so there's that. Yeah. Ticket Steve, I was loving his team a lot until the JSN pick. He's probably going to miss some weeks, right? I mean, he's getting wrist surgery, and they're being a little nondescript by how long he's going to be out. I don't know. I think I'm off of him until they announce a timeline.
Maybe he didn't know. It did just happen, But yeah, I think he's best as like right now he's dropping to like that wide receiver 4 range, wide receiver 5, just because uncertainty. Like and on top of that, he was a rookie, which usually they kind of get hotter later in the season anyway, right? So if you're taking him, he's going to be on your bench for at least probably 3 or 4 weeks, maybe longer.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody
yeah, I'm with
like
you. So I'm looking around. So JD at the 11 spot and Mullins at the 9 spot don't have, and also Defiant, they don't have a QB or a tight end. So that's something when I'm drafting, I try to take note of, what teams are kind of fading the one-off positions, the QBs and the tight ends. So we'll see how that works out for them. They're going to have to try to catch some value later on. I mean, I think they'll be all right. I mean, the QBs are going early here, and so are the tight ends. So I don't know. I'm gonna keep my eye on those two and see how they do. But little risky going into
Yeah,
round 6 with no QB and no tight end. So
I know. Let's get it going. Let's see what
yeah,
happens.
let's do it. Darren Waller, love him this year. I know he can't stay
Yeah.
healthy, but I'm
Who else
just
are they going to
dreaming
throw
of the
to?
day. Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
Darius Slayton for the third straight year. Darius Slayton's going to be a breakout.
Yeah. It could happen.
Yeah.
I
So
think I think I'm going wide out here. I just feel like these rounds I kind of love just pushing the wide out button, uh, filling those spots up. And guy this year that maybe is a little lower, but I'm kind of high on is Tyler Lockett. I just think he's overlooked. People every year they're like, it's Lockett. He's older. He won't be good this year. And then every year he just dominates.
yeah, he's also not that old, right? I mean, he's
Yeah.
what, 30 years old, and I don't know. I'm with you, dude. He's the most undervalued player every year. I think in that conversation this year of just like we'll call it like the boring names that are just going to produce, Tyler
Yeah.
Lockett, and Chris Godwin. That they're the
Yep.
first two that come to mind. I mean, the QB situation in Tampa is not that great. So I would like a big slot receiver that has great hands and has a proven track record. So
Yeah.
I'm all over Chris Godwin this year.
Yeah, I agree.
Man,
And then Lockett too, though. We just talked about JSM being out with him being out a few weeks. That's bonus for Lockett, bonus for
yeah, for
DK.
sure. Hmm. Yeah, the I know King Maverick, it looks like he's auto picking, but his running backs are interesting because talk about a crapshoot, man. I mean, he's either gonna smash or just be left in the dust
Yeah.
with the running backs he has there. All right, so what pick are we on? Almost pick six. Um, hmm. Okay. Um, you're gonna hate my pick, but that's okay because I'm gonna
Yeah.
light my pick. I feel like it's at like at least 10 pick value, maybe 12,
2 seconds.
and I
Oh,
needed, I needed another running back to I'm trying to go for balanced here because I want to keep my options open. I don't know, man. I'm not down on Miles Sanders this year. I think yes, he did better last year because the Eagles were amazing. I get it, but all those carries and all those touchdowns that Jalen Hurts took away, Bryce Young's not doing the same thing. I feel like he's entering his prime. He's handed the keys. He's a great athlete. We love his work in the receiving game. Like, for example, like I'd rather have Miles Sanders 10 times out of 10 over James Conner, just personally.
I don't know. I'm not a big Miles Sanders guy. He could be one of those players that burns me just because I'm probably gonna have zero of him on my team
You
this
got
year.
and you got to pick those out, right? You have to have a
Yeah.
player or 10 or 15 that you're just like, no, I don't want them.
Yeah. I'll
So
take the chance he burns me this year, and I just think Chuba's there, and they're like they're
yeah,
figuring
like look
stuff
at
out
the
still. But if he starts pass catching, which is not something he has done a ton of, if he starts doing that, then he's just gonna crush it. And that's why I like James Conner because James Conner does all the pass catching. He's a workhorse there, and even though he's older, he's just gonna put up so many points. And that's interesting. Dalvin Cook, all right, over at six
like
twelve.
I think my pick is very warranted. Like I'd rather have Miles Sanders so much more than Dalvin Cook right now. So
Okay,
yeah,
I agree with you there, but I would almost rather have Alvin Kamara. I'd rather have James Conner. Like
yeah, dude, I'm
Kamara's only
so
missing
off.
3 weeks, and he's coming back and just back to Kamara status.
Yeah, but he wasn't good last year. I don't know,
It's
man.
new
See.
team, right? New offense, new quarterback.
Yeah, Jeremy and I are working together for the first time. We're not always going to agree. He's very pro Kamara this year.
I am.
I,
I am
I
pro
like Miles
Kamara.
Sanders a little bit this year. So
Oh.
let me see. What do I want to do? I think I'm going to stick with trying to be as balanced as possible so I can be free later. And I'm going to take Dallas Goddard, who I probably would
Yeah.
have taken over Kyle Pitts anyway. Um,
I agree with you there. I think just
in,
much better
in
offense. Yeah.
in Dynasty, definitely not. But for this year, better offense. And I don't know, man. Kyle Pitts, really high ceiling, really low floor on Atlanta.
I like JP from the 4 spots. Javonte Williams pick there. Javonte just keeps sliding because of his injury, but they're saying he's going to start week 1 now. Like it's not official yet, but that's what they're talking about. And
Ooh,
the whole reason he's
Javante.
been sliding is injuries. Yeah, Javonte Williams there.
I know, right? Yeah, he had a pretty gruesome injury last year, so we don't want to say he's all good. But yeah, that's the risk you take, and like we always say, you play to come in first place. You don't play to not come in last, right? So I like the risky picks, all about them.
All right.
Looking at
I'm,
Butch's, I'll let you pick, and then we'll talk.
yeah, I'll say I'm about up here. I'm really hoping. Yeah, I'm really hoping this running back falls to me here. Ooh, or see, this is the part
You
where I
want
gotta look
Rashad
and
White?
see.
Rashad White. Yep,
I
here it
do. So
comes.
I do. I was gonna go him, but you got to look at the quarterbacks that are left on the board, and there's only one left before I feel like there's a teardrop. And I can see right next to me, JD doesn't have any quarterbacks yet. So the chance of this quarterback maybe making it back
Deshaun, here he
around
comes.
could be pretty low. So I'm gonna pull a trigger and do a little strategy on Deshaun and hope maybe Rashad White comes back around. If not, I'll go somewhere else.
They can hear you, right?
Oh yeah, I know, but eh, it's all right. He's at the top of the board. He's not coming back around. It was just a
He's not.
strategy decision.
He's
Like,
not going to pick his fourth running back. No way.
oh, he doesn't.
Ah,
Maybe he was
he can
just mad
hear
I
us.
took the quarterback.
He can hear us. He can hear us.
Yeah. But I like Butch's pick between Lockett and Waller there. He was saying from the 12 spot there. Yeah, I agree. Getting a balanced team with Waller is definitely not a bad idea. He already had 2 good wide receivers, so it makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's a strategy I never really did in the past that I'm going to try to employ more this year. You know, um, leaving the 7th or 8th round with, kind of my starting roster. I know it sounds like a basic strategy, right? But I
Yeah.
just love the way that for the rest of the draft, I'm just going to pick either the best value or my favorite player. I don't have to worry about any position at all. So it's just a nice feeling. And yeah, I'm going to give it a go this year. Because typically I would just hammer running backs and wide receivers and then stream QB and tight end all year. But I'm going to try to change my ways. I love your Dave Montgomery pick. I think he's going to have a huge freaking year.
I agree. Yeah, they got a rookie there. Gibbs is going to be great, but it looks like it's going to maybe be a 2-headed backfield. If you look at like all the touchdowns Jamal Williams got last year, they can't all go to one guy again, right? And if they do, maybe it'll be Montgomery. Who knows? But no, I like him in that range, like that into 7, beginning at 8 range is just such an easy click. He's gonna be good. He's my second running back, and I'm happy starting him as my RB2 every week. Very happy. Can we
So
just
you
keep
kind
this team
of,
for real?
I know, right? So you kind of, you kind of showed us like a strategy we were talking about on our ranking show last week, how you want to grab that one like hero running back that you're starting every week, no matter what, that you can just lock in. And then you just chill for like 5, 6, 7 rounds and then grab that number 2 that you're feeling solid with and then just go from there. So I think you really employed that strategy really well right here.
Yeah, thanks.
Because
So we're
like
talking about like that running back dead zone, so like that 4 to 6. So I avoided that 4 to 6, and then I went, I took one of the top 2. I think it was like a top 2 tight ends, and like a tier for the third, which would be T.J. Hawkinson. Honestly, I think JP got an incredible value on Hawkinson in the 5th round. I think it's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, because I drafted Miles Sanders a round and a half ahead of where you drafted Dave Montgomery. Is there a big difference? I mean, maybe slightly. Miles Sanders has more upside, but Dave Montgomery's safe as can be on that offense, on the turf, locked in goal line role. I mean, love me some David Montgomery.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't want to say who I was picking between. Ah, never mind. I can say it now.
Too late.
I was thinking between Traylon and Antonio Gibson. I'm a huge Antonio Gibson guy. I own him in like all my dynasty leagues. I just think Brian Robinson is doo doo, and Gibson just looks so much better to me.
It's
I
about the
feel like
pass
they're gonna.
catching
Yeah, man,
for
he's
me.
he's amazing, and
Yeah.
and if you look at his finishes in like a PPR half PPR league the past couple years, he's solid, man. I mean, he's like
Yeah.
teetering on like one of the past 2 years he was teetering RB1. Um, so I just
We
don't.
got a question from the comments there for from Maple Tree. What are our opinions on Daniel Jones and Saquon? I just gotta say, love Saquon this year. I was really tempted to take him over CD Lamb. It was really between back and forth between those two. I think he could be top two, top one running back. With I mean, anybody in the Dayball offense is going to do well, and he's the best player on that offense. And then for Daniel Jones, if I didn't take Deshaun Watson, I was probably going to wait and hope Daniel Jones came back around to me in the ninth and grab Daniel Jones because he's got the running ability. Again, Dable offense, he's going to score some points. They've got to do better than last year. They have to. How about
Yeah,
you?
I hear you. I mean, I think Saquon, is there anyone in the NFL more motivated to just put up a FU season than Saquon Barkley?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really think there is. I mean, the guy made it very public that, he's kind of like the front runner and like team running back. Like we're real people too.
Yeah.
So, he has essentially a 1 year contract, and I think he's all in to prove for him and the rest of the running backs that they're worth a lot of money. So, yeah, I
Saquon
think it's a
MVP.
great pick. Could be. I mean, I think the
What are
Giants
the
are a
odds on that
sneaky.
one?
I think the Giants are a sneaky good team this year.
Yeah. So you went Burks and Johnston. I really like the Burks pick. The Johnston one though, I think it's a little early for him. Could have waited like another round, maybe, right?
Yeah,
No.
I don't know. I want another wide receiver, but I didn't like the other guys there. So I'm off Tony. I don't want Juju. I don't want Jamison Williams. So it's like he was the best one. So here's the thing. We know that Keenan Allen and or Mike Williams is going to get hurt. So let's let the rookie eat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Interesting doubling up.
I'm on the clock.
We got to double up on. Oh yeah, you're on the clock. I'll let you think.
uh, the only person I really like in this range is Bateman. I just think grabbing one of the wide receivers from Baltimore and hoping that that's the one that blows up is a good strategy.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes 2 rounds after Zay Flowers, so 2.5 rounds.
Some would argue that doesn't make much sense, but did you see Zay Flowers' touchdown during the Ravens preseason game against the?
Zay just looks like a beast. Like he's jacked, right?
He just, man, I don't even know what he looks like. Like
Yeah.
I don't even know who he reminds me of. Like who's he in the mold of? Like Steve Smith?
Yeah. I guess because he's not super tall, right? So yeah, I guess
No,
that's a
he's
good. Yeah, I
tiny.
kind of
Yeah,
like that one. Yeah.
or like a Marquise Brown that actually wants to play football.
Doesn't
I,
yeah doesn't like to video game with Kyler Murray.
yeah. Also saw the report. Just breaking news. I saw that it was kind of leaked today that Kyler Murray might not play in 2023.
Oh wow, that is pretty
Mm-hmm.
big. So
We'll
they're
put
just
up.
going to be tanking for Caleb Williams.
How do you do that after you pay a guy $200 million, right?
Ah, yeah.
Arizona will likely have two of the top three picks in the 2023 draft, and their future is still effed because they have no idea what to do at quarterback. I mean, I guess the optimal situation is you already signed Kyler. Obviously, you like him. Trade that first pick for an absolute haul. So
Yeah, and
Yeah.
hope he's back and back to normal. So who are you liking right now of the teams we got going? Who's like your top one or two?
Um, let me see here. Um, so okay, Defiant. I don't hate that at all. Um, you know, because if he can grab a QB in the next round here, I think he's pretty stacked and pretty deep. I like his team. Um,
I've been burned before on missing out on one of the top QBs, so I try not to do it anymore. So that's where I think I wouldn't like that one, just because you've missed out on the top 8.
yeah, you're really playing with fire. Is he the only
Yeah,
one that doesn't have a QB? Yeah,
I
he
believe
is.
so. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because yeah, JD just took Aaron Rodgers, but he has no tight end. Okay.
JD's got a sneaky good team with all those jacked running backs, and he still managed to pick up some great wideouts. I mean, Debo Samuel, Godwin, Deontay Johnson, all could easily, they're all like all number ones on their teams, and then Addison could have a breakout season. So I really
So
liking his team,
do you
actually,
think the
besides the
play is
quarterback.
do you think the play is to just decide either QB or tight end, one or the other? I'm going to stream it and like load up on everything else and just completely ignore a position, because I feel like people say like, oh, zero running B is cool, like I'll do that, but then that's really the only like zero you hear about. But like, do you think it's a good strategy to just pick one position and just ignore it, and then every week on waivers that's the only thing you worry about?
I think tight end is the way to go with that. That's how I've done it like for a long time. Is I generally like Mark Andrews just fell so late. I was like, I'm grabbing him. But usually I ignore tight end and then I'll draft 2 at the very end of the draft. And those are the ones I'll take and I'll stream and I'll waiver wire and I'll figure that position out just because I think the value is so great in the other positions. Quarterback, I just think you used to be able to do that. You used to be able to do late round quarterback. You can't anymore. You have to get one of these top 8 guys or you're just kind of screwed.
Though, like, can I offer a name for you that I think could be a top 5 quarterback that's still on the board?
Oh, I know who it is, and I think Defiant is probably hoping he grabs him, and that would save him, right?
So I already kind of liked his team, but if Defiant takes Anthony Richardson, I might no longer have pants on.
Well, let's see
So
what happens.
with that being said, let's get started. Yeah, so I think I'm with you though. If there's one position I'm going to completely ignore and just worry about it at the end of the draft, tight end is probably the most replaceable position, and the difference between tight end 10 and tight end 24 is probably not a whole lot, right?
Yeah, that's where I think it is. I think it could even you could even make argument for like past 8, and we didn't even mention Kincaid going a little early there, and it didn't go to is Defiant one of our Bills fans here
No,
because Mike
he's
missed
not a
out.
Bills guy.
Man, I almost said we should make a bet on how early does Kincaid go in this mock draft, but I don't hate it at all. I was actually just listening to a report on him, and they were saying that he could be extremely good for fantasy, as a lot of the problems with rookie tight ends is they're training for 2 positions, right? They're training for
Mm-hmm.
like offense, learning how to run routes and stuff, along with having to pass block and but when you draft a tight end like Kincaid, and they're just using him as a passer, as a receiver rather in the passing
Mm-hmm.
game, and receivers like him, Laporta is still on the board. He's another one where Detroit has like come out and said he won the number 1 spot and it's his, and he's going to be another one of those receiving tight ends. He's a sneaky late grab I really like. So if you're like punching the position, grabbing Kincaid, and like I think ninth is a little early. I feel like he goes in like the 10th sometimes, and I'm okay with that. Or waiting a little later and getting Laporta late as like your first tight end, I think is great.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so Defiant passed on QB again.
Oh,
Oh, I like that. That is slick right there, because man, between Tua and A Rich, you're gonna have a solid, streaming pair there. I like that a lot. Oh, I'm on the clock.
I'm not usually a fan of that just because I think you're missing out
You,
on
you
value. Like,
you never know who to pick. You never
yeah,
know who to
you
play
could have
that week.
got
Yeah.
a wideout or a running back there. Like where Tua is, I almost wish like I'd rather not have taken Tua there and grabbed, Elijah Moore, Michael Pittman, Deontay Johnson, and then just waited and grabbed a quarterback in the next round.
Yeah, so with my pick coming up, I was 100% going to go running back almost no matter what. And between A-Chain, Damian Harris, Elijah Mitchell, Jerick McKinnon, Zeke, it's an obvious pick for me. I know A-Chain suffered a shoulder injury. They're saying it's week to week. I like that. Week to week, it doesn't sound terrible.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go ahead and bank on the fact that, um, Mike McDaniel is pumped about this guy. They want to get him the ball. I think he's their third down back on day one and maybe more. So I was pretty excited. He would not be here if it wasn't for his shoulder injury. So I'm going to go ahead and take the 2 or 3 round discount and pick up A-Chain.
Yeah, rookie running backs late statistically like do really really well. They have a good chance of having a big breakout, and then next year you'll see him in the second or third round going, and that's one of the ways you get that lotto ticket and he wins you your league. He's definitely a league winner if everything goes right for him in Miami. But Miami's also one of those offenses where Mostert went in the same round. Jeff Wilson's probably still on the board. One of those three, someone's going to do well in that offense, if not a couple.
I'm with you.
And then actually, you didn't say anything. Did you like my Rashad Penny pick there? I like getting my hands on like one of the later.
You know why I didn't say anything?
Why? Because you wanted him?
No, I didn't say anything because I've heard rumors that he might get cut.
Wow. No, I haven't heard that yet. Man.
Yeah, I mean,
they love DeAndre Swift that much?
who knows? Or Gainwell? I don't know, but
clock.
or they have, who else do they have? They have a yeah, I know who I'm picking. It's a dumb pick, but I don't like anyone else.
This is another part where we could talk about this part of the draft. If you're like past the 10th round, you can pick your guys. Don't be like ashamed. Don't be like, I'm picking this guy. He's going 2 rounds later. It's okay. Like the difference between a 10th round guy and a 14th round guy sometimes
no
is
difference.
not that big a difference. So if you have a guy you want to get that you want to make sure that you're not sure he's going to come back around to you, just grab him. It's okay.
Yeah, I went with Jameson Williams because he's my 6th receiver, and so I can wait out his suspension. And I just think like I was in the mood to kind of shoot for the moon. My last 2 picks here with A-Chain and Jameson Williams, both of them are extremely dangerous and unsafe. But yeah, let's gamble.
Hate it. Not a fan. I just think I was like back and forth on him, and I think I've decided that just there's enough bad stuff going around about him between like I don't know, rumors of like him not doing well with the coaches, off the field stuff, but who knows how much of it is true, right? But then just everything with him seems to be not great, and I'm kind of just off. Like I don't want him to sit on my bench for 6 weeks or longer, and when I could use that spot for something else. I think he's okay to grab if you have a really deep bench. If you're in a league that has a deep bench and he can sit there for a while, go for it.
I'm gonna let you pick, and then I have like a topic to talk about strategy.
All right, I think we're going to continue with the running back vibes here and go for Jalen Warren.
Son of a...
because everyone thinks he's better than Najee Harris. So why not get your hands on him in the 11th round?
Yeah, pretty great.
Yeah,
that's solid. Yeah, for those out there that don't really know Jalen Warren or know what's going on in Pittsburgh, all reports basically scream that he's more explosive, he's a better pass catcher, he's more liked by the coaches, all of the above. Najee Harris has the draft capital, and so he's the starter by default, but they're like smitten with Jalen Warren. So, I think you might have taken him around early, but who cares? I think he's an outstanding person to stash on your bench.
And so we talked about like handcuffs and how we both aren't a fan of handcuffing, but I like taking other people's handcuffs. So I like getting a backup running back or number 2 running back on a team that I don't already have the number 1 running back on, because then when that running back, if something happens, that running back becomes the number 1, you just have another starter on your team that's just been sitting on your bench. Or maybe even in your flex. It's even better if it's a guy that like Jalen Warren is someone you can legitimately put on your flex for good matchups. Now here, the Butch loved the Tank Bigsby pick at 12. That's where I was going to go. I was going to say, in another case where I want to do that is Tank Bigsby. I think he's another one that could crush it. Uh, things aren't great, I guess, with ETN right now. So that's one where I kind of like that one. And I don't usually like stacking two running backs on the same team, but I like
Yeah.
Gainwell. I'm hoping one of these two guys becomes the guy there. So I'm going Gainwell, Rashad Penny there, and in the hopes that one of them is the guy. But that's not
I
usually a
love it.
strategy I like to employ.
No, but I really like that. I'm a big
Yeah,
Gainwell guy. I mean,
yeah,
there's more than one beat reporter saying like he's the starter.
yeah.
So there went Kendre Miller too. My dreams are just falling apart, pick by pick. Yeah, so
Yeah.
this round I was targeting either Gainwell or Kendre Miller or Jalen Warren, but yeah, my plan, my Jamison Williams pick is looking worse and worse by the second here. But I'll be okay. I'll live. I think I have an idea. Unless Jake picks Darnell Mooney, then I'm gonna be upset.
That'll be Jacoby Myers.
Oh,
no
okay.
more. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'm really playing with fire here. I only have 3 running backs, and one of them is suspended, and the other one doesn't have a shoulder. So yeah, I'm really this is pretty dangerous, but I'm gonna keep rather than reach for a running back, I'm going to keep piling on wide receivers here. Darnell Mooney, I feel like people have a little bit forgot about him and how good he was 2 years ago. He scored 190 PPR fantasy points, which is insane. He's on a team with an ascending quarterback, a better offensive line, and a coach that knows what he's doing. So, yeah, big Darnell Mooney guy at value this year. I know DJ Moore is the guy, but Mooney is very firmly planted in the number 2 wide receiver spot.
Yeah, I have like 0 shares of him, and I kind of want to try to get 1 or 2 this year and see how it pans out because I've heard good things too. And I gotta say, Butch was saying his plan was to take Warren and Bigsby, and that was my exact plan as well. So good thinking. I like that. And then a Truck Reviewer, hi, what's up? Bryce Young, all right.
Yeah. So here, a lot of people are taking their, people are starting to take their second tight end and their second QB. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 teams with 2 QBs. So
this
it looks
defines QB grab, and I gotta say I like it. I don't usually like going 2 QBs like that, but to get them late, and he got them pretty late, and they're both QBs that could be top 10 quarterbacks.
Yeah, I like that a lot. His team's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You have a high ceiling tight end. You're gonna have a good QB with a good matchup every week. I like what he's doing there. I'm picking up what he's putting down.
Yeah, and I gotta say, just monitoring the 0 RB from the 1 spot, it's 0 RB is tough. I mean, look, he's got Dalvin Cook, Alvin Kamara. I think Alvin Kamara would be fine, but for 3 weeks, you got Dalvin Cook, McKinnon, and Gus Edwards. Not your best running back plan of attack there. You got to start 2. So I guess you're starting Dalvin Cook and McKinnon and just hoping they get you through 3 weeks. It's tough to go 0 RB. I think this year it's got me thinking I got to take a hero RB approach and get 1 RB in the first 2 rounds. I think it's a strategy this year.
Yeah, that's Tony's team. He's also a member of the channel on Team 1. Yeah, that's rough. I mean, yeah, he's got Cook.
I love his wideouts. I love his wideouts. I like his being Hurts is great. Hurts is going to crush it. I got him as my 101 QB. Kittle's great. But yeah, then it gets a little rough there, and I think it just goes to show it's hard to go 0 RB. It can be tough.
I know, man. I'm feeling his pain because I'm hurting almost just as bad. I just took Roshan Johnson, which was like a desperation pull here, just because I don't have many running backs and 2 of them have concerns. So
here I'm gonna take the top guy on my board is Jeff Wilson. I was talking about getting one of those. It's in a muddied backfield. We don't know who's gonna be the guy there. I'll take Wilson and hope he does something, especially with my 1 RB approach. I've got Montgomery as my second, and then I've got 4 guys in a row there that could all have potential to do something.
Yeah, I like the strategy is you kind of just pile it on guys that have 20% chance of really breaking out. So I dig that a lot. Yeah, but we were talking about it on our ranking show. Backfields that are undecided, you want cheap pieces of those. So you did that with Jeff Wilson. I did that with Roshan Johnson. Just go ahead and grab cheap pieces of undecided backfields and just wait. So it's
And
a
I
good
think
thing
we were
to do.
talking about like pick your guy. For me, it kind of feels like 11th round is when just take who you want. Like ignore ADP a little bit unless somebody crazy falls in ADP or something. Just kind of take your guys, take who you want. My next pick here is probably somebody that's way later in ADP, but I got him top of my board here, and take a lotto ticket guy. Jaden Reed's a rookie on Green Bay. If that offense does something, you never know. People like him in camp.
Yeah, I agree with that. Let's Jake stole Nico Collins from me.
Oh,
Man, we're
Nico's a
at
good
the
one too. There's nobody
we're
else with that team.
yeah, we're at the point of the draft where we're complaining about Nico Collins. So that's pretty funny.
That's how you know it's a good fantasy football mock. People are into it. I like it.
Yeah. And yeah, I'm a big Nico guy this year. I think is he not the number one? I think there's no way he's worse than the number two guy on that team. Stroud is a big upgrade at QB. So yeah, I
Definitely not
want
a
all the
downgrade.
Nico shit. I want all the Nico shares I can get. If I didn't already have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 wide receivers, I would have taken him.
And
Hey,
talking
Mike.
about wide receivers, wide receiver one in the 12 spot, Butch taking
Yeah,
Hodgins,
thanks.
wide receiver one from New York. There, like, he's the one, right?
I think so. Yeah, I
You're
mean, Hodgins, ex Buffalo Bill, he had an outstanding finish to the year last year. He caught a touchdown like 4 straight games.
bad pick
Um,
there.
yeah,
Ugh, not a fan of
you
that
know,
one.
man, do you know how good he looks though?
No, no.
Yes, he's
I think
got.
he's done. I've stayed away from
No,
Denver this year.
dude,
No,
what TV are you watching? He had a rough year with Nathaniel Hackett. He has the GOAT, Sean Payton, and he looks so good. And I hopefully only have to play Russell Wilson like 2 times this year. So yeah, I'm completely fine with it.
so I think this year I used to always have like a backup QB or something on my bench or whatever, and not always, but a lot of times. And this year I think I'm gonna go the strategy where you don't draft a backup quarterback. You stream it for the 1 week you need it. You take one of your top guys and you stream it for the 1 week you need it for. As long as you get one of those top 7 or 8 guys, I think you're okay.
Yeah, I agree. And there was only I probably could have waited, but there was only like 3 more QBs that I would even want as my backup. And people kind of went QB early in this draft. A lot of people have backups, so I kind of wanted to secure it. But there's only like 2 or 3 other guys that I would even want. Wilson, Love, Purdy, Pickett, and that's really it. Okay, so it's back on me. My running back is just a mess. So I kind of need to just take some flyers there. And the best flyer that I like, because I already have the starter for that team, I am going to handcuff in this situation. I have
I
Josh
agree.
Jacobs. He's currently holding out. Zamir White, very talented backup to Josh Jacobs,
Yeah.
from University of Georgia. So I'm not usually a handcuffer, but because I'm weak at running back, because I could be hurting if Jacobs holds out. I have Sanders and nobody, right?
No, I think
So
that's a good situation. Like I feel like the Jacob situation holdout is worth a handcuff. The Jonathan Taylor situation, maybe the only problem is who's Jonathan Taylor's handcuff. Maybe Evan Hall, the rookie, like has a shot to do something. He's a pass catcher,
mhm.
or from the one spot, Alvin Kamara. If he had grabbed Keandre Miller or Jamal Williams, because he can start him for 3 weeks and then throw Kamara in. I could see those situations where like, yeah, I would take a handcuff there. But especially because like if it's a late like Zamir White in
Oh,
the
you're up.
15th
You're up.
round
You have
doesn't
5
cost you
seconds.
anything. I got my guy in the queue. It'll be all right. But there you go.
Nice.
So Rahat Shahid, I just think Michael Thomas is done. So I think he has a chance to shine there. He's also got that deep threat. They just send him. he could catch a couple touchdowns, a couple long touchdowns. You're feeling good.
Yeah, dude. He was like Captain House Call. Like he took a lot of deep touchdowns to the house last year.
Yeah.
And can we rewind like 4 rounds to like you talking shit about Jameson Williams? I believe he had two touches last year for 80 total yards.
Yeah.
That was pretty
No,
cool.
he did. He looked pretty good. And I'll go with another running back here, back up in Cleveland. I think he got banged up a little bit, but they're saying he should be good to start the season.
All right. So me and you have a real draft for money on Saturday. So I now know your strategy.
I know.
You just
I hope I pick from a different spot.
So
if I pick from the same spot, it's gonna look exactly the same. Like it's gonna be bad.
Yeah, so luckily that one's a super flex, so it'll look a little bit. The draft will look a little different. Yeah. But I like your strategy, dude. You get the RB1, and then you just 4 or 5 rounds in a row just throw darts at guys that could break out. I like that.
Yeah.
I like it a lot.
It's a good strategy for this year. There's so many later round running backs you can get your hands on and hope if 1 or 2 of them just need to work out for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I like your strategy there too. You stacking up Burrow with Chase. You got 2 elite wide receivers. That's usually the way I like to go. And then getting Jacobs in the third could turn out to be a steal if he starts the season. If he starts the season, he would have gone, early second probably.
Yep. So, I don't know what's wrong here. So, I want one more wide receiver
Jones.
Oh, this is the last round.
DPJ. Yeah.
I forgot to take a backup running back. I mean, a backup tight end.
I did. That's another position where I'm happy to stream. If you get a top
yeah,
guy.
you have Andrews. You don't need another one.
Actually, with Andrews, I normally would have taken, let's say there's like round 17, 16, I probably should have taken Likely. Because then you're guaranteed a great tight end no matter what, except for the bye week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if there ever was such a thing as a
tight end handcuff.
If there ever was such a thing as a tight end handcuff, the first one ever exists this year. Yeah. It's Isaiah Likely. The guy is an absolute baller. And
we saw it last year.
We saw it last year. Yeah. I mean, I think that's a really good point. If you have a deeper draft, I would say 16 rounds, you might be pushing a little bit. But if you have like a 18 round draft and you have Mark Andrews, throw Isaiah Likely on your team just in case, because he's going to perform almost just as well if Andrews were to go down.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, man, that concludes it. So let's do a quick run through of these teams and talk some trash a little bit. Anyone out there, if you're still tuning in, I see a couple of you out there. What are you guys sipping on? And talk to us about your team. Why do you like your team? Why do you hate it? Let's hear about it. So
quick thank you everybody that participated. We appreciate it. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks. Yeah. That went quickly. It was an hour long. So 30 seconds is stressful. I mean, I made a couple of panic picks, but that was a good time. And I think, we gave the people out there a little, preview into how drafts typically go. I think the draft that we did, I tried to do it as, typical of settings as possible, right? I mean, I think this is what most people play, 1 QB and half PPR. So
I will say something to help with like the panic picks or the 30-second picks, just a little like draft strategy that I do every time, especially with Sleeper. Not all platforms have this, but I set my queue with my rankings. Like I pick a rankings I like online, whether it's from, we used Fantasy Pros the other day, something like that. I'll go through and put in that queue all those players in a line so that I have my own rankings next to the Sleeper rankings I can look at. And that way, like if I ever get down to the wire, I have the guy I like at the top that I know I'm going to like auto pick if something happens.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I've never done that. Thanks for the tip. I'm going to use that.
Yeah. Keith, you didn't mean to take Tyreek Hill. That's a great pick, man. I would have had him at like 3 or 4.
Nah, I'm going to say that I would have taken McCaffrey over Tyreek.
I like Tyreek.
It's close though. Yeah. But he makes a good point. Never used Sleeper before. Make sure you check out the app that you're going to be drafting on and get some practice, do some mocks. And Jeremy, I think you use Underdog, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so
That's a good one to test
Underdog,
out.
you know, we're not paid by Underdog, but if they want to reach out to us and have us promote them, we will. But Underdog is a great app for doing real money drafts, you know, best ball leagues where you just draft and then you forget about your team. You never have to set a lineup or anything. It's a great way to practice. I'm in about, I don't know, 10 or 12 Underdog drafts right now. Slow drafts, so you have like 8 hours to pick or whatever, but it gives you a really good feel of like what kind of builds can I experiment with, you know, so either mock draft or like some Underdog, you know, you $3 draft, $5 draft, $10 drafts. But yeah, it's good ways to practice. Um, yeah, and what else do you do to prepare?
That's a great way. The mock draft system is okay on some of the platforms. It's not going to be like the most accurate. That's like, I think what you're saying with the best balls is kind of like a more accurate way to go. Although I will say it doesn't compare to your home leagues. And yeah, so Mike from the two spot saying he likes his team. I like his team a lot too, actually. Two stud wideouts. Kelsey's just going to crush it for him at tight end all year long. He's got Walker, Connor, and Gibson. That's three, number one running backs that he doesn't have to worry about. And then getting Zay Flowers. Sky Moore is the number one running back on KC. He's listed as number one. He's going to be in all of their sets. He could just go crazy this year. I think he did a great job.
So my critique on Mike's team is the end of the draft. I think he got lazy. If you have Travis Kelsey, why'd you draft 4 tight ends?
Yeah, maybe Captain Auto pick took over there a little bit.
Yeah, so I will say if you have Kelsey, maybe take a second tight end, but I definitely not 4.
Sleeper app was lagging. Sorry about that, Mike.
Okay.
It happens. It happens sometimes.
Fair enough.
Always blame it on Sleeper. Yeah. Trade bait. Yeah. Actually, so I like the Meyer pick for Vegas. Actually, that tight end. He's another young guy I was talking about. Like he could end up just being a receiver tight end, and that's how you get those breakout rookies.
Yeah. So yeah, like we talked about in last week's show, I think one thing to pay attention to is if you those one-off positions, which are like quarterback and tight end, if you do take one of those one-off positions, you know, early, you have one of the top 4 or 5 people from those positions, just mentally put it in your head, you know, I don't need another one from that position for at least 5, 6, 7 rounds from now. So just make mental note, make a physical note that, you know, if you do have, you know, one of the top quarterbacks, one of the top tight ends, just, you know, ignore that position for the rest of the draft. And I think you'll like your team a lot more at the end.
I'm also a big fan of pound wide receivers between rounds 4 and 6. I just think those are great value picks there.
Okay, let's see. How did Jake do? Let me see. So Eckler, that's interesting because I would have taken McCaffrey and Hill over Eckler. Josh Allen, homer pick.
I think it might have been an auto draft pick, but I'll take it.
ETN, I like. Go Tigers. Jerry Jeudy, be very careful with him. You might not know about the injury news, but he looks like he has a multi-week, maybe multi-month hamstring injury that he sustained today. So, yeah, I'm kind of out
on purpose. All right.
Yeah, I'm kind of out on Jerry Jeudy. Hawkinson was probably one of the best values in the draft.
Completely agree.
In round 5, that was pretty sick. And then Javonte Williams, no reason he should be going in the 7th round. That's unreal value. If he can even be healthy by like week 5 or 6, I think you're going to love that pick. So
I like Gabe Davis too there in the 8th. He stacks him up with Josh Allen. Mm-hmm. I think that's a good spot for Gabe Davis. Like it's kind of about where he should go. I'm not really a fan of him this year. I think last year we saw that, you know, he's going to be kind of good some weeks and really bad other weeks. And I hate having that kind of player because it's just so frustrating.
Yeah, he's the definition of boomer bust. And I actually think there's a path to him being the number 4 target on that team. I mean, you have Diggs, obviously. Then you have Kincaid and Cook. Yeah. Right? So, you know, I'm kind of a Gabe Davis believer because I had him in a ton of dynasty leagues. Like
I drafted him in my rookie draft. So, it was kind of like a big win for me. Like I got this guy in the 4th round of my rookie draft and he worked out. But yeah, I just don't know that he's overly skilled enough to, be relevant in NFL for that much longer.
Kincaid steal of the draft. I think he went right about where he should go. Right, he went after Firemouth. I think I would have Njoku over him, and then I'd probably have him after Njoku there.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's about right. I mean, there's no way you're taking Kincaid before Freiermuth or Ingram, in my opinion, or Goddard. Yeah, so yeah, I think he slots nicely in that tight end, 10 to 12 area. And even then, you're kind of hoping, right? I mean, how many rookie tight ends have finished top 10 in the NFL in fantasy points? Evan Ingram is rookie year. Kyle Pitts is rookie year. Maybe Vernon Davis is rookie year. Other than that, I can't think of any.
Yeah, so I want to talk about real quick, like sneaky good team I like actually is from the 9 spot. My boy Blue. You're my boy Blue. I love going to 3 tight ends right up front. That's a strategy.
3 wide receivers.
Sorry, 3 wide receivers. What's in this?
Do not go 3 tight ends up front.
Is there too much bourbon in there? Do not do 3 tight ends up front. Anyway, I love going 3 wide receivers up front. It's a strategy I've employed many, many times. And getting Diggs, Adams. I mean, Devontae Adams could potentially, you could say, could be going in the 1st round. He always puts up so many points. And DK Metcalf in the late 3rd is great. He still gets Aaron Jones starting running back. Madison is a guy that people are like all over the place on. He's going to be great. He's going to be terrible. He's going to be mediocre. Who knows? So I don't hate that pick there. Kyle Pitts, the most athletic tight end there is. And then Trevor Lawrence, he's, again, I like getting the end of that tier. He's grabbing the end of that tier quarterback there. He still gets Pittman at a value in the 8th, I think.
Dude, Pittman in the 8th is just Pittman in the 8th is stupid. That's crazy.
Well, people don't know about the Colts offense. No one knows how it's going to go. It could go terribly. But
you're right, though. Like so we were talking last week about how it's good to attack like the end of a tier, and I think that Mullins got the end of a tier. I could argue almost every pick, right? Yeah. So like Diggs, we were talking in the 1st round how he's kind of, there's like a big 9 that you really want, like one of those 9s, because you were saying you hate the 10 spot. So Diggs was the end of a tier there. I would argue that DK Metcalf is a big jump ahead of Keenan Allen, Amari Cooper. I like him a lot better. Yeah, exactly. And then Kyle Pitts was the end of a tier. Well, I don't know. I would probably put Goddard in that tier.
Yeah,
but you were right.
I like Goddard better than Kyle Pitts, but it's like right there.
But T-Law absolutely nailed the end of the tier. I mean, after T-Law, it's a complete QB
I was hoping
dead zone.
for T-Law. He sniped me there. I was like, T-Law's going to drop to the back of the 7th. I was about to be so happy. And I was like, I'll take Deshaun.
Yeah, that was very true. So, yeah, you're right. Mullins with the great team. He kind of went with you with just hammer running backs late. I like your late round running backs better than his, but it's a good strategy to do those late. What do you think about his last pick, Alec Pierce? What do you got on him?
He's grabbing Pittman and Pierce. Hopefully one of them does well. Mm-hmm. I'm not crazy about Pierce. I think where he's going though, he's worth grabbing, and maybe he comes into form and they figure something out in Indy and it gets good. Mike is saying why I love Freiermuth so much. I just think that offense is going to be better this year. I think the Steelers are going to take a step up. Kenny Pickett takes a step up for his sophomore year. And that's why I like Freiermuth. I think he's going to get some targets. I know there's a lot of targets there to feed, but I think he could be potentially where he's going to. I think is very reasonable to get potential, top 5 tight end.
Mm-hmm. Mike, didn't the hold on? Didn't the Bills just play the Steelers and they got absolutely boat raced?
We had another comment. Val and Camilla, Ty Chandler steal of the draft could be the starter. Was it the last round down there? He's pretty close to it. Yeah, last pick of the draft, Ty Chandler. That's very true. He's the backup to Madison, but something happens.
Yeah. I like that a lot. Like we said, running backs where there's no,
Preseason.
for sure number one guy, just absolutely, nail that backfield. So that I like that Ty Chandler pick a lot. Yeah, that's good. Let's take a look at a couple others and then we'll sign off for the night. All right, let's look at Butch's team in the 112 and see what he did here. So pretty generic start with AJ Brown and Chubb. I mean, very well balanced. Both players that have a nice floor with somewhat of a ceiling. I mean, it's hard to argue against either of those picks.
He's utilizing that one running back in the first 2 round strategy that I think is like
Mhm.
the goal this year. I think that's what you do. One wide out, one running back, can't go wrong. And then his 3rd round
Yeah,
pick, I absolutely love. I'm like so crazy about. Like if I hadn't had Andrews there, I would have jumped at Ramondre Stevenson. I think it's way too late for him.
yeah. I don't think I've seen Ramadre at 312 in a long time. I mean, typically he's like, front end of the 3rd round. So that was pretty great. Little bit of a reach on Fields or no?
Agree.
Yeah.
I like Fields a lot. I think he could get to that value. The problem is he's not quite there yet. I think he's closer to like the end of the 4th, beginning of the 5th is where I would be more comfortable taking him.
It feels like he drafted him at his ceiling. Yes.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. But that could work out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just don't see, maybe I'm wrong here, but I don't see a whole lot of difference between Fields through Burrow, Herbert, Lawrence, Watson. I mean, yes, there's some gap there, but not a 4-round gap, right? I mean, I'm going to take Lawrence and Watson at a 4-round discount from Fields all day, every day.
So I agree, but I kind of think it's Fields and Burrow, and then it's actually Lawrence and then Herbert. Lawrence has the legs, and I think like Lawrence going that late is like a travesty. Like that offense could just blow up. He's got the legs over Herbert, so I kind of actually like Lawrence better than Herbert this year. I probably won't have that much Herbert.
So, and I'm with you, all in on the Jags this year. Love
Except for
ETN, love
ETN.
Ridley. No,
except for ETN.
why is
when
that?
Tank's getting the ball all the time, Tank's getting the check
Not
downs.
not happening, man. ETN's the man. But yeah, I think the Jags with Doug Peterson, another year in with comfortability in the league with Trevor. I love the Jags this year. I think they're going to be a surprise team in the AFC. But the reason I like Herbert a touch more is Kellen Moore. He moves from Dallas to there, and he's fast paced. He airs it out. They just drafted another receiver. They still have all their weapons in place. I just think Herbert, better weapons than T-Law, and I don't know. I think it's a more of a sure thing. Although T-Law does have more rushing upside, but yeah, but I'd be very happy with both of them.
Yeah, I agree. It just goes back to what we were talking about. That top, 7 or 8 quarterbacks is where you want to be this year. I think you want to snag one of them, and it's going to work out for you.
Yeah, this mock draft really made me understand that. I mean, I think quarterbacks went early in this draft,
Yeah.
earlier than most. And if I didn't grab Herbert, I might have been, pretty upset. I'm glad I have one of the top 8 guys. So I'm gonna pretty much lock that in from here on out. I don't want to have to worry about, picking and choosing later on or streaming because there's very clearly 8 top guys. So yeah, I'm all in on that.
I feel like there's usually one draft each year where I try like a weird strategy. I try to go like late QB, and it always burns me. I'm always
Yeah.
like, this will be the one where I can pick 2 crappy quarterbacks, and one of them will be good, and it always burns me. So I think I'm done with that. I gotta say, between mine and your team, which one do you like better? Because I think I kind of like your team better, just because Jamar Chase and Wilson are like 2 of my absolute favorite wide receivers. They're both just so good.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Like, I don't really love my team. I absolutely
No.
love my first 3 picks, probably my first 4 picks, because I like the stack with Burrow and Chase. But Yeah, I kind of, got a little bit flustered. To be honest, and I'm glad I did this. I haven't seen the sleeper like ADPs and pre-rankings because I've been drafting on underdog, which is different than this. Did you notice that too?
Yeah, so for people that don't play underdog, underdog is extremely wide receiver heavy. So think like
Yeah.
all the wide receivers getting pushed to the top. And it makes a big difference because when you go into a kind of a normal draft or home league draft, it does not go that way.
Yeah, so I was a bit thrown off because I'm so used to like underdogs ADP and people's strategy on there that after my first 3 or 4 picks, I was like, my head was in a blender and I didn't know what to do. So, but yeah, I really like my top four. I would kind of put those four up against anyone. Um, yeah, I think I got Goddard at a bit of a value. Traylon, I've kind of already said, I think he's going to have just as good of a year as DeAndre Hopkins. Yeah, so I like my team a lot. Let me check out yours. Cowboys stack at the top. Love that. Um, Mark Andrews was an incredible value. Typically, he goes end of the second, early third.
I
So
agree.
that's pretty great. Um, you got one of your top 8 QBs. So love that with Watson. David Montgomery, I feel like if you want to do thin on running back, there's probably no other RB2 I'd rather have. I mean,
Yeah.
if you're going to skimp on running back, I want David Montgomery, James Cook,
Gibson, if I have to, if I'm going later.
Gibson.
I like AJ
I
Dillon
mean,
too, actually, in that respect.
yeah, I mean, I think
He's
there's a
not terrible.
there's a
Yeah.
short list of if you're going to wait on running back, who's the last people you feel safe with for RB2, and I think you nailed one of them. So I really like that. And then I think your coolest strategy was, I'm since reading the reports this week about Penny, you know, maybe the Eagles are down on Penny. I don't love it as much, but I think Penny, Warren, Gainwell, Wilson was really cool. And I think you're pretty much guaranteed that one of those guys is going to hit, right?
I hope, and
So
that's what you hope for when you go if you're going zero RB or you're going hero RB with the one running back up top. You have to
yeah,
stack a bunch at a certain part of the draft and hope that one or two of them take off for you. Otherwise, nothing's going to happen.
yeah, exactly. So no, but I like your strategy. It's definitely an interesting strategy. It's probably a strategy that not many, casual players or newcomers would know how to do or understand, but I think you pulled it off. So that's pretty cool. I think I would like your team a lot more if it was a different receiver other than Keenan Allen. I'm finding
I
I'm
really
finding
wanted
my
Debo there. I really, really
dude.
wanted Debo.
I'm finding myself like I have a little bit of like a dead spot in
Okay.
wide receivers in the middle. Like
Well,
Keenan, I don't love. Amari Cooper, I don't love. Drake London, I love the talent, but the situation is just bleh.
Terry McLaurin's
Jerry,
banged up now.
no, Jerry Judy is now hurt. Terry McLaurin,
He's a little hurt.
I think he's gonna be fine.
They say he's
But
okay.
yeah, yeah. So McLaurin's really the only person. I don't like Hopkins. DJ Moore, I took him, but I was, a little iffy on it. JSN is hurt now with a broken wrist.
Yeah.
Christian Watson, you're a lot higher on than me. It's just like a lot of these guys in the middle. I'm just like, I know you said like hammer wide receiver rounds, 4 through 6 or 4 through 7. I don't know, man. A lot of these are falling on deaf ears to me. So I think now that we're getting closer to the start of the year, I think I might try to go wide receiver heavy at the top because I kind of like these, Kenneth Walker, Brees Halls, Damian Pierce,
Yeah.
Joe Mixon. I'm down with those more than I am the receivers in that range. So this was really helpful for me.
I
Yeah.
think it was helpful for me in that you were talking about the ADP aspect. So, like each platform, whether it be ESPN, Yahoo, Sleeper, whatever you're using, they have their own ADP set up. And for this one, it seemed Sleeper I think is the best of all of them. If I had to pick
Mhm.
one that has a decent ADP, but even with Sleeper, I feel like once you hit maybe the 11th round or so, there's kind of a drop off, and then you really need to have your own ranking system set up. And just especially when you look at Yahoo, you look at ESPN, there's so many steals to be had because people use those rankings instead of using rankings from another website like Fantasy Pros or like, DLF or something like that. People that different ranking systems that they can use. And if you input your own rankings, you're just going to crush your draft. It's going to happen just because there's so many players that are going to drop that people aren't going to realize. A lot of times it's the rookies. Like looking at the Jameer Gibbs might not go quite as high. Jordan Addison, Jackson Smith, and Nick Jigba, he might go way later in some of these other drafts just because they're not ranked as high on those systems.
So now I want you to teach me something. So how do you like take rankings from Fantasy Pros and drop them in Sleeper or ESPN or Yahoo?
So I wish it was that easy. Usually, so I haven't done it in ESPN in a while because I stopped using that platform. But for Sleeper, you just add to queue. So what I do is I have two windows open. One window has, say, the Fantasy Pros rankings, and one window has Sleeper. And I'm just like adding, it's kind of tedious, but I'm adding to queue each player in that order. So then when you look at your Sleeper app and it's pulled up, you have the Sleeper ADP and you have your queue right next to it. And I like having them next to each other too because I can see the rankings I picked and the rankings Sleeper has, and I can see like maybe there's some values in between and where what guys maybe I wait a little bit on, what guys maybe I want to grab. And then for Yahoo, I know you can go to like create your own rankings and you can just like preset rankings and then it imports it into your draft for you.
Cool. Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, man. Any last thoughts on this draft here?
No, just it was a fun time. Thanks everybody for coming. It was great. I think. I don't think anybody did a terrible job or anything. It's cool to see so many different strategies getting put to use, and hopefully we help some people out.
Yeah. So I'm definitely going to watch this one more time tomorrow or the day after, and figure out like the flow of the draft. And this was really nice. So. Helped me a lot, and I hope it helped you all too. And Mike had one more question. He wants to know what
team. The worst team. Yeah.
Oh no.
Man.
Okay. We might hurt some feelings here, but we have to do it.
Yeah. I mean, I think that the 0 RB, sorry, from the one spot. I love the first like 3 picks, and then after that, it just goes really downhill really fast. So that's my pick, I think.
Yeah, hold on. For now, that's my pick, but I'll look for a worse one, just because Tony's friend of the channel. I hate to bash Tony.
Sorry, Tony. I'm sorry, Tony. I haven't met you yet. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I
love going the 0 RB, but
yeah,
it's tough.
He was a little too ambitious. If you go 0 RB, you can't go Alvin Kamara. We'll put that as a lesson learned.
I know. I disagree. I think you can go Alvin Kamara. I just think you got to grab some other guys in there.
Yeah,
like
some spot starters later
picks
on.
Maybe should have been some running backs there.
How about anybody but Michael Thomas if you're going to go 0 RB? Oh my God! You know what he should have done? I'm looking at it now. He should have drafted Williams.
Yeah,
Jamal Williams.
Instead of
at 9-1. Yeah,
actually, I would have gone Charbonnet over Williams at 901 because I want a guy that has something happens to Kenneth Williams. He's immediately a top 10 running back.
Yeah, Kenneth Walker. Yeah.
So I would go Charbonnet at the 9-1 pick.
Yeah, Tony, I think we unanimously decide that you're in last, but you could have easily fixed yourself if you would have picked Jamal Williams or Zach Charbonnet at 9-1 instead of trash ass Michael Thomas. So Tony is self-admittedly not a football guy. He's one of our golf analysts. So those that watch the channel, Tony very well. So thanks, Tony, for giving it your best shot, but you are the weakest link. Goodbye.
His first 3 picks were slam dunks. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Slam dunk picks.
He was probably on auto pick and didn't know what he was doing. He wasn't even on yet. But anyway, thanks everyone for coming out. This is always one of our most fun podcasts of the year, doing a live mock draft and, seeing people's teams unfold real time. It was really fun. Jeremy, second podcast ever. You're doing great. Yeah. So thanks for coming out. Thanks for sharing some bourbon with me. I need to go get a refill. So I think it's time to wrap it up. So Jeremy and I will be doing a
fantasy football show every week throughout the season. Maybe we'll try to squeeze in one more before the season starts. Don't know the topic yet, but you can probably catch us here soon. Thanks everyone for coming out. I see people are still hanging on an hour and a half later watching us, so appreciate that. Y'all have a good night. Good luck.
Sleepers next.